Розпочинаємо нашу сьогоднішню зустріч. З 22 листопада по 31 грудня тривають науково-педагогічні стажування на базі Куявського університету у місті Владславик. Ми з задоволенням щиро дякуємо всім без виключення учасникам стажувань за те, що цікавитесь діяльністю Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва, та відповідно особлива подяка тим особам, які стали членами Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва і постійно цікавляться різноманітними заходами, які ми проводимо з сусідніми до України країнами Європейського Союзу. Сьогодні ми співпрацюємо і маємо зустріч з нашими давніми добрими друзями з Республіки Польща, зокрема з міста Владславик, Куявський університет. Сьогодні для вас викладати будуть цікаві лекції Joanna Skiba. Вона є керівником міжнародного відділу Куявського університету, директором Центру інтенсивного вивчення мов та є досвідченим на теренах Польщі експертом у сфері освіти дорослих та дистанційної освіти. І, до речі, вона опікується цією темою досить давно, до того моменту, як після карантину дистанційна освіта стала вже загально прийнятою для всіх нас. І другий сьогоднішній експерт, доповідач, лектор, тренер – це Марcin Miziołek, викладач Куявського університету, сертифікований коуч у Республіці Польща та наставник. Всім бажаю приємних вражень від співпраці з польськими колегами і надаю слово пані Джоанні. Joanna, please speak.
Good afternoon to all our Ukrainian colleagues. In the opportunity of having this lecture during your internships, we are very happy and honored to be able to be with you today, although the form of the meeting is unusual. As you can see, I'm teaching and lecturing from my home, so probably you will notice my work behind me from time to time. So it's, well, the situation is unusual and we have this unusual lecture as we decided after experiencing some of the past lectures during some other internships, we decided not to divide it into two parts, but we decided to have this lecture or rather conversation or dialogue together with my colleague, Dr. Marcin Miziołek. So I think we will share quite a lot of our experience, of our feelings and thoughts that we have together on the topic, whether you agree with us or not. I think there will also be some time to make this meeting slightly more interactive, as technology allows us a little bit to become more interactive. So I will try to ask you some yes/no questions, and then you will be able to join in, not only just to listen to our dialogue. The topic for today, it's yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift, which means and suggests that what we are left with is only today, and we should cherish and care every moment of now, and we should enjoy every moment we are living. I think as all of us are teachers at different levels, either academic teachers as we are, or maybe secondary teachers. And we also provide academic services to future teachers, which means we teach other future generations of pedagogical forces, if I may say so. So we are somehow at the top of the pedagogical hierarchy. So we have quite a lot of pressure, quite a lot of obligations in terms of giving example and also to being able to share what we have learned and what our pedagogical and academic experience is. We should, as academic teachers, we should try to avoid being out of step with the society, with the technology, and with the pandemic situation of almost 2 years right now. We have experienced many unusual situations, and probably you have quite a lot of your own experiences in the field of being a pandemic teacher, as I may say, which may be experience and material to write several PhD dissertations. Well, I think we have learned quite a lot during the last 2 years, and we have changed quite a lot as teachers. Well, I think I will ask Dr. Miziołek some questions, and in the meantime, we will be answering those questions and issues, and then I think it will be a bit easier for us to navigate through today. So my first question is, the post-pandemic reality will be the new normal. So Marcin, what are the main challenges you see for this time?
Good afternoon, everybody. A big thank you for having us here, for having Joanna and me here. It's a great opportunity for us. Of course, we wish we were there with you in the Ukraine, having a lecture face to face, but it's impossible, as we all know. As Joanna has already introduced the subject, the topic of pandemic and the post-pandemic reality. Actually, the question is it a post-pandemic? Is it will it ever actually be a post-pandemic reality? Or is it just here with us to stay with us for a long time? So this is actually the biggest concern and the biggest issue now. In the introduction, Joanna said something, about the past and the future, and actually cherishing the moment, about enjoying the here and now. And this is actually, I work with people with, let's say, their emotions, with their mental skills and actually mental approach to lives. So this is actually a great question, just, for you to answer. You don't have to answer aloud or in the chat box, just answer that for yourself. Are you enjoying the here and now? This is a great question. Are you enjoying? Do you enjoy the situation in which you find yourselves now? Do you live in the past? We somehow sometimes try to grasp the picture of the life that we actually led before pandemic. This life is not here with us now, and I dare to say that it will not be like that anymore. And do you feel that you live in the past, or maybe you feel that you live in the future, thinking what will be in the future? Try to think about here and now, about your current situation, how you feel now. Because if we start to talk about the question which actually appeared, the first Joanna's question about the post-pandemic reality, I think that this post-pandemic reality is actually the reality in which we are now. We have to face difficult situations in which we find ourselves every day. In Poland, soon schools again are going to be closed for a period of time. So students will have to have remote lessons like the lecture we are having now. And this is a big problem for their heads, for their emotions. We don't meet anymore. again, we are going to be closed in our flats, in our houses, apartments, sometimes offices. And this is the new reality which has already arrived. And please look at your emotions, look after yourselves. And now, just to start this lecture with this, think or try to feel what emotions you actually feel when connected with this pandemic reality that we are facing now. Joanna?
So I guess it sounds a bit pessimistic, as we are facing quite uneasy times, all of us, and this is a global situation. This is a global fact. So Marcin, you mentioned emotions. Yes, we know that those spheres are very important sometimes, or quite often really are neglected because we don't have time, because we fight with reality, we fight with the new regulations. As Marcin has just mentioned, new regulations will be implied in Polish schools, in both primary and secondary. So online education will return for a couple of weeks. Lucky for us, it's going to be over the period of Christmas break and New Year's Eve break. So it's not going to be so harsh on the students, but anyway, it's going to be the time when students will have to face online education again. Well, in the past months, starting from September this year, that all has been in a hybrid format. So I think students got used to being more actors of real life. So we have accepted this new format of life, because I think there was no other way for humanity. We either comply with them or we are rebels. And if we are rebels, we may be totally excluded from life, from things like, as it probably may be introduced in Poland, and it's going to be introduced in some European countries, the unvaccinated ones will not be permitted to the cinemas, restaurants, or maybe public transport. So it's in a way softly, as we may say, in white gloves, as we have the phrase in Polish, we may be forced to go to comply with the laws, to get vaccinated, even if people, it's like half of, I think, society in Poland don't want to. We have to comply with wearing masks in many public places. We have to agree to testing if we want to travel and return safely, or travel to some other countries. As I am an Erasmus coordinator as well at our university. And luckily, the 2021 for me was a year of travel, really, and which was a normal year for travel, but it was much better than 2020 when nothing really happened. So I managed to join life and reality, but I had to accept many rules. I had to fill in thousands of papers before going anywhere. I was tested twice. Although I'm vaccinated, but I had to be tested before going to Turkey and Malta, because these were the individual countries' regulations before entering. So reluctantly, but I did agree to some of those rules, which may be seen as rules imposed on our personal or our freedom, because the freedom is the issue that is so much talked about. We also have most of the people are fighting in some way, because they oppose to this pact. They have mixed emotions. Sometimes they don't show them, but they usually don't accept them. and on television feeds us with facts of those who have not got vaccinated but are now suffering and are fighting for every breath. So it's like a lot of manipulation, I guess, also going on here. And life has been moved to a new concept, the new concept of online reality, not only in education. Online life is everywhere. It's with sports, fitness, with human relations, with films, culture, as you can freely join all types of cultural events online. But well, what was the option for us? But I think it also shows how quickly we've switched, starting in March 2020. So we very quickly switched to the new normality of pandemic, because I think human beings are very powerful. We tried to use all the resources that are available, and we tried to adopt, because there was, I think, the only solution to survive at that time. So maybe I would say we are fighting because we want the pandemic to be over. But as I sometimes say, I want an official announcement that somebody says in the news one day, the pandemic is over. I don't know if I'm going to live up to that moment. So maybe it's, as we said with Marcin at the beginning, the post-pandemic reality begins now. And we as human beings have to try to find available options for us and accept it. Because as individuals, we cannot fight with the global problem. My next question is, what will be the educator's role towards students, Marcin?
Being a teacher has always had a kind of, let's say, connection with being a good, sometimes mind reader, and being good when it comes to psychology. Now, we all the teachers, we need to actually dig in to our deepest sources of empathy. We need to be really psychologists. It's we cannot avoid it, you know. It's like we need to focus on listening, and I mean not just to listen what is being said verbally when it comes to our students, but also to listen to what's beneath the surface of words or vocab. You know, let's try to read the feelings, because what I have been noticing recently, more and more, people really collapse mentally. They feel like being in prison. They feel like, as Joanna said, you know, we are facing a situation in which we actually feel, consciously or subconsciously, that somebody is invading our freedom, that somebody is taking our freedom away. And, you know, here in Poland, let's say I was born in 1983, so my teenage years and up till now, I have taken, you know, freedom for granted. Traveling, as Joanna said, it is something that I did. And I have done, I have been doing, but 2020, it was difficult in 2020, 2021. Let's say it was a bit easier, but still difficult. Again, when you know, I had a chance to visit Mallorca this year, and I needed to show my COVID passport when I wanted to eat in a restaurant. The same situation, it was in Greece. So it's not something that's, let's say, that's easy. You know, you are being, you know, sometimes even interrogated whether, you know, where you've been, what you did, who you saw, where you were, etc. Yes, so in this case, this is what also our students face. And that's why we need to listen to them. We need to focus, but remember, all the time I will emphasize this one. First of all, look after yourselves. Look after yourselves, because then if you have already looked after yourself, if you feel well, if your emotions are intact, then you will be able to find the empathy needed to sense what's there. And this is the case, the role of educators, and the biggest issue that the educators have now is with online teaching. Because when we teach online, it's difficult to sense what we sense when we meet face to face. We sometimes can sense some tension. We can see or feel that somebody has some problems, that somebody is struggling. So apart from being a teacher, just try, please, at least give it a try to be psychologists. First of all, psychologists for yourselves, and then psychologists for teachers. This is actually the new role I have found that the teachers will need to adapt to. Joanna?
This also shows the amount of pressure on the teachers, actually. So not only teaching in a new environment, because it's online teaching. So for some teachers, the situation may not be easy because technology is quite new. We have Zoom, we have Teams, we have some other platforms that we use. Probably most of us remember the beginning of this craziness, March 2020, when schools globally moved to online education. And I remember this in a case from my daughters. My elder one is a student, a linguistic student, and the younger one is a pupil in primary school. And I remember the teachers used every method available. That was even lessons on Facebook. So any kind of technological resource was used. So this, until of course it was nationally regulated. So some platforms were especially used for and designated to a specific type of school, and more national plan or schedule in that was used. So it shows the amount of pressure on the teachers, not only teaching online, but also observing the students, responding to the needs. Well, if we don't see the students, and most often they just switch off the cameras because, well, usually they don't have to be on, and maybe they don't want to be on because they spend their days at home in the bedrooms, and there's nothing to show so much. So it's even more difficult to break this glass, as I may say, break the glass of the computer screen and try to understand what is going on. Besides, being at home for students means that some social problems may arise, or even as in there is some focus on them more because the home abuse case, because most people spend more time at home. Alcohol may also be the issue that may be a problem in some families. over the weekend, I read an article about the rise in suicides or attempts of suicide. So the suicidal incidents are rising because of depression. And I think it's nothing like that the young people just need attention. I think depression is an illness which has to be somehow cured or monitored. And young people also have many hurt feelings and many lost plans, like plans of education, plans of parties, which is an important aspect of social lives for them. So as I already said, online education and online life, which online life seems never to finish. There is no end to this. You start your classes online, then you move after a short break, you do your homework, which you also do online. And then you contact your friends, which is also on the computer screen. So life is not divided naturally as it used to be. And social life should somehow be happening apart from the school life, and social life and school life are now in one sphere of life. So this is like everything is on the screen. So people fear this, and people don't understand the situation. Another issue which causes a problem are the finances, not an easy financial situation. The inflation going up week by week. So we have this pressure as human beings, as teachers, and we also see the pressure on our students, on pupils around us. Those lost plans and lost feelings are somehow this base for depression very, very often. So talking about emotions and depression, as people may have this fear, how to face society again? This is the question, Marcin.
I would like to answer this on a positive note, because it's been quite pessimistic so far. I mean, or it sounds a bit pessimistic, I mean, the lecture. First of all, you know, facing society again depends on how you have been facing society so far. Whether you've been hiding emotions or showing your emotions, whether you have accepted that sometimes you can feel anger, sometimes you can feel sadness, sometimes you can feel pain, sometimes you can feel fear or guilt, or you have been hiding it actually, you know, somewhere inside and not allowing yourself actually to be vulnerable. So this actually has a great impact on how we are facing society now, how we will face society in the future, which is yet, of course, to come. Because I need to tell you something, you know, from my experience of working with people. People have different strategies to handle with difficult situations. And some people like where everything is planned, scheduled, from A to B to C to D to E. I have a plan, I have a strategy, and I like it to be this way. If you are one of these people, then everything is fine with you. If you don't like to plan it and you just go along as life is or as something happens, then it's okay. It means that you have a different, you know, strategy, you have different mental approach to life. And people who are more flexible find it easier to adapt to life now. People who need to have everything planned, who need to, have pragmatic explanation of what's going on, who need to know why I'm doing this, what is the outcome, when it will be over. These times, this is a little bit more difficult for them, So you will also, as teachers, you will have students who need to know where we are now, what we are going to do. So actually the schedule will be important for them, and telling them what we are doing, what the next step is, everything is important for them. So give them this kind of information, even if it's not something that you would actually need. And therefore, look at what you need, try to get what you need, talk to people, tell them what you need, because we have started with the pressure that some teacher. Actually, Joanna has said about it, that there's more and more pressure. That's why I said, you are the most important. I mean, not that you are the more important than students. No, it's not about that, we don't go to classrooms and say, I'm the most important. No, it's not about that. It's about looking after yourselves first. Look what you need, check what you need. If you need help, seek help. If you need to talk to a psychologist, talk to a psychologist. If you need to talk to a mental coach, talk to a mental coach. You don't need a mental coach. Sometimes you just need a friend, but a friend who is trustworthy and who can actually listen to what is going on and what your problems or issues are. I tend to say that if you have friends who give you advice and tell you what to do, they are not good friends. If you have friends and you tell them what your problem is and they actually let you sort your issues out, they just listen. They focus on you and they listen to your problems. They listen to your issues, but they don't pretend to be gurus. They are just your friends to be there for you. Then facing society will be much easier because we are all in the same situation. We are different people. We have different mindsets. We have different goals. We have different family backgrounds. We have different wives, husbands, children. Every situation is different. But, in the whole, we are all in the same situation. So to face the society again and to make it easier for us, I don't mean easy, but easier. Share what bothers you. Find somebody who listens to you. Protect these relationships that are valid for you, not the fake ones. Now with social media, sometimes faking life, showing how good I feel, taking a picture and just Friday with wine or whatever. But actually, somebody who takes this picture can be broken inside. And trust me, it happens. These are my patients. These are my clients. Joanna said suicide attempts. In December, I got 2 phone calls from parents who contacted me to help with their children who actually tried to commit suicide. And both were girls, both were 11-year-old girls. So actually, this is a very serious situation. A very serious situation. And this is what we are facing. And sometimes, I even want to say that the most often just a simple conversation can help. Being listened to, feeling important. This is what will help us to face this new society again. If you need help, seek help. Protect relationships that help you be you and that allow you be you and allow you and accept you the way you are. Even sometimes you are vulnerable and can feel pain. This is the relationship you should actually protect.
I think by saying those, mentioning those issues, you voiced the most important aspects of us as teachers and also as human beings. And we should remember that we are all sailing the same boat globally, as the situation is not different in Panama or Puerto Rico. The situation is the same. Maybe the people's attitudes may be different. Maybe some different regulations are imposed countries, and this also somehow stresses us more and puts the situation into the uneasiness, as most of us feel like we are prisoners of the situation. As I can also say, it's very difficult to be strong in those unstable times. You mentioned seeking help. Yes, professional help is, I think, something we should do if we feel that we need this. And this help now is available in many places, even schools. In Poland, recently some programs were introduced of help to children and to students at schools who need professional help. The mental support may also be expressed by ourselves, so we can not only seek help, but we can also do things like sports, like yoga activities, being more active or less active, and as you also said, talking to friends and taking up different activities. I would like to talk about two things, which is a mental box. You may take just a box or any kind of box and put on individual pieces of paper, write down your problems or your fears and put them in the box and close it. In that way, you may pretend somehow that you close those issues, let's say, for a few days, and that they are away from you. I know it may not help those who are really suffering and are really depressed, but it may help us on a lighter note if you need to have some kind of activity. And also something which is called a gratitude journal, where every day, like in the morning, you can write a single sentence, a single word, which states and describes what you are grateful for, whether it's the sun, whether it's the good coffee or friends or somebody's smile, maybe. So there are different options. But we need to take up some actions. We need to find our inner strength and motivation, either to look for help or to do something ourselves. Maybe this strength comes with age. I don't know. It's quite difficult to say if it's true, but maybe in some situations it's just a fact. I now have some, as I said at the beginning, I now have some questions. If some of you, some of the participants, you want to join the activity, you can simply write in the chat box just yes or no. So my question number one is, do you think your students have social fears? Answer is yes. And my next question, do your students enjoy being online? Answer no. or yes, no, so it's mixed. It depends. Do you want, okay. Yes, some more answers coming up, yes. So it shows most students enjoy it. Maybe it's a good topic for our next lecture. My next question to you, do you watch the news every day? Do you watch the news every day? Answers no. Most people know. I think it's better not to watch the news every day. It's true. Quite mixed answers. Okay, my next question is, do you think we have to accept the fact that we cannot get rid of the virus, that we have to live with it? Maybe it's not easy, but too easy to admit, but what I feel myself watching, looking back into history, I guess we should accept this fact that we will live with this virus for the rest of our times. My next question to Marcin will be a very practical one. How to overcome social anxiety?
It depends. It depends on each one of us, of course, what we feel like doing. Sometimes when I recommend my clients or patients to get a piece of paper and write something that actually bothers them, some want to do it, some don't want to do it. Yes, if I tell them take yoga classes, some find it ridiculous and some just can't wait to join a yoga class. If I tell somebody to run, somebody says, yeah, I've been running, 10K, 20K, this is what I do. And some other people say, no, never. I hate running. It's not what I would do. Some people say, I go to the forest and I hug trees. And some people say, when I see some people who hug trees, I think they are crazy. So actually, again, I will say the same thing. Listen to yourself, but don't try to hide your emotions. Don't try to act against how you feel like, this very moment. What you feel you want to do it. It will make you feel better. If it makes you feel better temporarily, okay, but just go for it. If a good book makes you feel better, read a good book. If watching something makes you feel better, watch something. Try to look after yourselves and try to find what helps you. Therefore, if somebody has a problem, doesn't know how to deal with anxiety or whatever, ask them what helps them. Ask them what they like doing. You don't have to give advice. You just can ask them. The simple question which I ask people, if now we are talking about social anxiety or just anxiety in total, from 0 to 10, how good I'm feeling now. So you can ask this question to yourselves. From 0 to 10, how good I'm feeling now. There are, variety of answers, of course, from 0 to 10. All the answers can be actually heard. But try to get the first thing you said. People sometimes tell me, I feel like 7 or maybe 8. It means that you feel like 7 and you would like to feel like 8 out of 10, and you are trying to cheat yourself that actually you are feeling better than actually the first answer which you gave. So don't cheat to yourselves. If you said 7, maybe 8, 7 it is. If you said 7, oh, maybe 6, 7 it is. But probably you have, you know, like somebody saying here and say, you know, saying to you, you have given too many points to yourself. So, you know, this is like a dark character, which is actually you blaming yourself. So again, this is 7. The thing we would actually need to focus on is why you are trying to punish yourself or change how you are feeling. And then if we have, it is 7 out of 10, the next question would be, what do you need to go to 9? What would help you reach 9? What would it be? What makes you feel better? What would make you feel like 9 out of 10? And then actually you give me the answer. So now you can give you the answer. And if you have the answer, now just do it. Just focus on doing that. Of course, it's maybe sometimes not that easy to do it immediately, but this is a process which can actually help us, you know, deal with the anxiety we have or deal with some problems, as I said, which we are, you know, facing, and trying to focus on our mental health and on our emotions, because all the time I will say it like mantra. Your emotions are the most important emotions for you in your life, and you are the most important people in your life. And so if somebody else says something else to you, or maybe for some people with very high empathy, it sounds like egoistic. It's not egoistic. You are the most important for you. Egoistic approach would be, I'm the most important one and nobody else is important. You know, being an empath would actually look like, okay, I'm trying to be the most important for myself. Other people are also the most important, but I need to look after myself so that I can provide for my family. I can be there for my students when they need me. And this is actually how we can face the anxiety, concentrating on what we individually need. Joanna?
Thank you, Marcin. I think it shows how many boxes the pandemic has actually opened, how many boxes of emotions, and what is the strength of them. If we hide them, then I think they may explode. They may explode sooner or later. So as teachers have to be psychologists and therapists, because there is no any other way out of this problem, because we are all facing it. As I said, we are facing the same boat. We should process emotions and understand them, which is not so easy, but because the reality has stepped into another level. I would also like to, talking about the students' issues, I would also like to bring up the problem of the so-called disappearing students, disappearing pupils. I think you also have them in Ukraine. Those who don't switch on the cameras, those who don't attend any classes, those who don't even log into any kind of program. So I don't remember exact statistics, but there has been many cases reported of students who totally disappeared because there was no obligation to physically attend school or university, and somehow they got lost on the way, which is a very, very sad fact, because if they disappear, most probably they will not seek help because they simply don't care, or they just maybe pretend that they don't care, because that's also another psychological issue. I think to wrap this up and sum up, I would like Marcin to make a final conclusion, like with the new map of life, of emotions, maybe, how you see the importance of this new life and shaping it.
The key emotion that is actually very much alive now in, I would say, in every one of us, it is fear. Let's take fear now into consideration. This new map of feeling, the feeling of fear, whether we are going to live in this kind of world, what the future will bring, what will happen, will we be able to live the life at least to some extent as we used to before pandemic? Am I going to handle the situation? Am I going to handle the pressure? How to deal with it? This new map of emotions is actually a map of, to some extent, negative emotions at the moment, emotions which created a kind of a mist, a kind of fog, which covers the positive emotions that we actually can have as well. So once the fog disappears, again we will be able to find ourselves, feeling happy lives and full of positive emotions. Maybe, as we mentioned earlier, traveling. We are going to a restaurant when we want to go to a restaurant without being, as I said, interrogated, asked questions, followed by, some specific applications, whether, because we have to show our QR codes in applications. So this is the new realia. So in new realia, we have a new map of emotions. I would say, like, to sum up, don't be afraid to feel fear. Don't be afraid to feel fear. Open to this fear. Try to find why you feel it. And then it will be much easier for you to accept it and to make other emotions positive go on the surface and appear and actually help you with dealing with everyday life situations and with the pressure which we actually can see that teachers are facing.
Thank you very much, Marcin. I hope that both of us explained or answered some of the questions or issues that we all have at the back of our minds right now as teachers in the pandemic reality. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the participants for being with us and following the lecture. And I would like to wish you a very successful 2022, the new year, because I guess these are the last lectures of this year. And we're hoping to meet you in the next, in the new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Joanna, dear Mr. Miziołek. Дякуємо від всієї української спільноти за надзвичайно цікаву лекцію. Бажаємо вам так само успішного нового року. І дійсно, це наша остання зустріч в цьому році. Сподіваємося на подальшу співпрацю у новому році. Всім учасникам стажування бажаю успішно пройти усі процедури, пов'язані з отриманням вченого звання доцента або професора. Чекайте, будь ласка, на ваші сертифікати та збірники тест стажування на ваших поштових скриньках або на відділеннях нової пошти, яку ви сказали під час реєстрації. Всім щиро дякуємо за увагу, за зацікавленість до діяльності Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва. До побачення.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Побачення.